A very good morning, and thank you so much for keeping us company this far. You are indeed tuned in to the leading broadcaster KBC. My name is Samuel Njoroge, and this is the only way to start your day. Good morning, Kenya. It is feel free to interact with us. 20511 is our SMS line. Begin with the initials GMK. You can find me on Twitter at Sami1Njoroge, or find me on Facebook. Samuel Njoroge is my page. Tomorrow, we expect the president to give the State of the Nation address in Parliament. And of course, a lot has been said on touching on what to expect. But then again, yesterday, the Deputy President, William Ruto, gave his State of the Nation address from the Kenya National Theatre, and of course, much reactions from Kenyans. But indeed, what should we expect tomorrow? I've got a Senator Beatrice Elachi with me in studio, and also Shinyalu Member of Parliament, Silvas Anami Lissamula. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Such a pleasure to have you on set this morning to discuss this critical issue on the State of the Nation address. I'd like to start with you, Senator Elachi, in terms of rating the Jubilee government from 2015, the previous address that we had from the president this far. How has the progress been?
Well, first I'll start by saying I would not want to rate them in overhaul. I would prefer rating them per sector.
Yes.
And therefore I'll pick the sector of foreign relations, which is, I think, has done very, very well. I will give them an 8 on that, on foreign relations.
Out of 10? Out
of 10, because if we were even able to manage WTO and it went with recommendations, which for 9 to 10, 15 years we were unable to do that in all the countries that we've had, then it's good to give credit where it is. I will go to security. I would say they have tried their best. They are at 6. And I would go to the other sectors and look at the sectors of infrastructure. I think we are not doing so bad. We are at 7. I know the roads still have issues, but also we need to ask ourselves, and especially when I look at my roads in Western Province, in Nyanza region, I know people are complaining, but at the same time, some of us went to court to say that these roads have to go through our local contractors, and we forgot the roads were under the World Bank project, and whenever you tamper with the World Bank project, for it to come back, you have to really take time. So I know my people are suffering, but we need to see how the president can come in and unlock. I think he's doing his best. I believe very soon we shall have a new contractor now back on track, and I hope they have also ironed out with the World Bank on the issues that were raised. When I come now to corruption, I have to be very honest. I think we've done zero work. But the president has tried. The president bringing in the 6 CSS and the list to Parliament was a very good new beginning in terms of dealing with corruption. Now, we've realized when you're dealing with corruption in our country, you don't just look at the president, because the same constitution we passed as Kenyans changed the whole system, and therefore our president can never be a Magufuli president, where you just wake up and give orders, and orders will work, which is a good system which Kenyans now are wishing to have, but they changed it through their constitution.
Yes.
And therefore the president has to go through institutions that have to work. So for me, the people who have let us down now in the war to corruption is after ESCC has done its investigation, you come to the DPP, I would say he has let us down. Because now, when you see some glaring issues, why do you close the case? Why can't you just push the case to court, and people will judge that case as it moves on? But the moment you say there was no enough investigations and you have closed this case, then Kenyans start feeling, how come now there is no case?
Exactly.
And how come you will jail a mama? But I want to thank the DPP for removing her from the wonders of a judge who is crazy. In Siaya with chairs, you are able to finish. There's a young man who went and stole some lotion for the bride during I don't know.
Yeah.
And he was jailed for 2 years.
For 2 years.
And then you wonder what the hell are Youth Fund and IFMIS and all these crazy people who have messed the president doing, walking around.
We shall be getting to that in a bit, but let me come to you, Mheshimiwa Anami, in terms of the plan by CORD to boycott the State of the Nation. Actually, members allied to CORD term it as a ritual with no substance. What's your take on that?
First of all, I should agree with my sister, Senator Beatrice Alachi, because the rating she has really given to government are reasonable. I'll give them the same on foreign relations. But take away one or two more marks, because you see, you don't relate very well if your backyard is untidy. Because our guests or our hosts out there are likely to walk away from us because our backyard is not very clean. We have attempted to do well in the foreign relations at the expense of our backyard, which is riddled with poverty, which is riddled by crime, which is riddled by crisis after crisis. And I can point out, actually, in every sector we have one crisis or another. I want to agree with the Senator very much on this issue, the handling of corruption. It is becoming a culture. That's how cultures develop. To the extent that even our friends outside are concerned about it. You have heard the remarks that have come from Trump, who I didn't even know he knows the direction of Kenya, but you can see what he has to say about us. It rubbishes the good work that our envoys are doing out there. It rubbishes the efforts we have made and the history, the good name that we have made abroad. So we cannot be very good out there and sickening in the backyard and be happy about it. You rather have a clean soul and tattered cloth. So I have a problem there. When it comes to issue of State of the Art address tomorrow, Kenyans are expecting a lot. Kenyans are expecting the president to come up with the suggestions of drastic measures that will deal with the situation of poverty. But the way we see is that that might not quite work now. We would rather just get to the work and do it. What am I saying? The poverty situation is so alarming, we don't need to talk about it. We need to do a lot about it. Say, account for all the resources that have been allocated towards poverty eradication. Let us account for every cent. Let everyone account for it. And it doesn't have to be a big story asking those who have not implemented to step aside. And it doesn't have to be something happening on the floor of the House.
Granted, Mheshimiwa, but then I will revert to my question.
Yes.
CORD has been very specific in saying that this has been a ritual with no substance and they intend to boycott the State of the Nation address tomorrow. Is this still the position? And you being a CORD allied member of parliament, will you be boycotting the State of the Nation address?
I'm suggesting this, that we don't even need to be discussing boycotting or not boycotting. I think we need to be dealing with the issues, state of the nation. We need to be dealing with those issues. Boycotting or not boycotting is a decision that will be made by representatives of the people at the House.
You being one of them.
Yes, me being one of them. That is an issue that we have to consider, because when we represent people, we are informed by the concerns of the people, and if we find that we are spending people's time unfairly, then we must think again. We have a consultation today,
yes,
as CORD, and we will arrive at that decision. So let me not preempt.
Let you not preempt. I will move on to Senator Elachi. There has been, yesterday the Deputy President said that we have to shift blame where it's supposed to be. And he actually cited the judiciary. Cases are taking forever in there. This morning, you have cited the Directorate of the Office of the DPP, I beg your pardon, as one of the institutions that are dragging this process behind. But then again, your legislators that can spearhead reform, and you enjoy a tyranny of numbers. Why haven't you initiated reforms to make sure that these institutions are in check?
Remember, this is a judiciary within reforms. It was created, and it has a very good team that vets them. And we thought when we were vetting the judges, we were now bringing in judges who can understand, who, first of all, you can do a judgment, but you'll also look at the interest of the country in some of the cases. I'll give you an example. In Kakamega, we have a few judges who have brought in some cases you even wonder. The judgments. You have the registrars who can give you a court order at night with no seal, no nothing, and they will come in the morning and tell you, exhume this body. And I've experienced it in Lurambi, where I went for a burial. It was very interesting. And if I was not there, this is a family who would have been told, you must exhume, do that. But since I was there, the questions you ask, and then you realize people don't have information on how to defend themselves. And I really was taken aback. I was like, why do we have judges who will come and play around with the emotions of the people? And then when people start screaming, they will say now people are inciting because we are not from the region, because we are, which is wrong. Now people have, most cases are now moving to the ombudsman, because he has done a lot. You go to the ground, people will tell you, I did my petition to the ombudsman, at least I'm back to work. We have, for example, the cases of the Muliro Mosinde University. When you listen to the university, you get a bit worried. And I was even calling the CS and saying, as we move on, you need to go back and look at what is happening at most. Because very soon, the university will close, and that's the only economic area we have right now in Kakamega. Mumiasi closed. So, and then we close now the university, you'll have killed the region. But now let's go back to the national issues. For me, and I want Mheshimiwa to either agree with me or disagree, but in a critical way.
Yes.
I don't want to talk about corruption in this country. I don't want to place it on Jubilee or who. Corruption in this country is business done across board. It is something that, if for us politicians we want to really tackle this corruption, then either we bring in this law that will say openly, they will know Senator Elachi has brought in company A, and this is what she's doing with this company, and therefore you pay her just the way Japan does. Because in Japan, you will never find people roaming around. They know you came in, you've done this business, your check will follow you, and it is a government rate. In the US, they're called lobbyists. They are paid their money. So if Kenyans have reached the international level, instead of making 20%, 15%, and it's supposed to be 2.5% of the rate of the contract you're doing, then let us put it clear so that Kenyans can ask. And then if it goes beyond, you are able to take somebody to court and say, look, you have just decided to steal Kenyan money. That way, we will now kill down this competition that we have, very crazy competition, and we are just talking at the top level. We are forgetting this thing starts at the procurement level, where the guys who are doing the tender processing are even the worst, because they are the ones who will tell you what to do, how to fill, And you even wonder how young people will even get those tenders, because you cannot manage. And at every stage you are producing money, serious money. You even wonder where Kenyans are getting. They will even have to go to the bank because you want this tender. And this guy is just telling you, I need 10, I need $1 million, I need 2 million. Where are you getting it? So in the end, what will you get? You'll get a project. You've consumed most of the money to people. Therefore, the quality of that project definitely will be very low.
Of course, and I love the direction this conversation is taking right about now, especially on the issue of corruption. I'll take the both of you back to 2014. The president made a State of the Nation address, and corruption was part of what he talked about.
Yes.
He also touched on security and other issues, but corruption was really key. Come 2015, people were expecting the same issue to be revisited, but on a higher note. Courtesy of the list of shame.
I think he did it in 2015.
Yes, that is where I am. 2015, courtesy of the list of shame.
Yes.
Then there was the applause in Parliament. But now, basically months later, after March, we had the 791 million Kenya shilling scandal. Eurobond started happening. Kenyans are thrown right, left, and center. And Mheshimiwa is saying, let's revisit the institutions. Looking into even the structures, are there loopholes that are just deliberately left to be there so that the war on corruption becomes a hard thing?
Good question. Good question, Sami. We say the fish starts rotting from the head. This issue of corruption can be dealt with once and for all. We need to do Makafuli. The president and the entire presidency need to stand up and take some drastic measures, not just to talk about it. You asked for some specificities. I'll be specific. Let's say the NSSF. NSSF has for time in, time out become a cash cow of the powers that be. Right now, do you know at NSSF, and no one can say he doesn't know, that at NSSF, in that list of shame, one, Richard Langard, who was the CEO, was asked to step aside. And a team of others, they did step aside, but still left a pipe in the NSSF. They are the operatives within the NSSF. They are earning 100% of their salaries. When there is an increment, even when they are aside, they are getting the increment, all of them, including their godfathers. So how can we say people have stepped aside? They step aside with one foot. In fact, they pick a foot inside. I think we are joking. This corruption thing is a really crisis. People need to stand up and say, this is what we can see. It's red, or it's black, or it's white. The issue is we are half-hearted about these things. And it starts from top. We have this story of the Eurobond. Then the story of NYS. Every time the overseers, the opposition, every time Kenyans talked about these things, they were told to be lying. Now, what is the truth? It's on the table. Now, so the problem is, it is the people presiding over the management of this nation that are plundering it. So it becomes a problem. The road is right at the top. We want to talk about things, but to do nothing about them. Let's come to the issue of infrastructure development. And if we have to be specific, I want to give you the case of Kisumu, Kakamega, Webuye, Kitale Road. Now, this has gone on for well over 12 years. The people there are suffering. Just 2 weeks ago, we have buried another child in Lubao who was killed by people trying to maneuver their way in those ridges that have been created by the contractor whose name we don't know because they disappeared a long time ago, left machinery there. And that is just an example, my brother. We have several other stalled projects. We have the crisis in the, another specific, the crisis in the education sector. And I want to thank Matiang'i for being a Magufuli on this matter. I think we might get somewhere with his response. We must agree, because that is the approach. And this is, you see, a very sincere man from the bottom of his heart dealing with issues. But his hands are tied. He cannot deal with TSC. My brother, he cannot direct TSC because TSC is seen to be an independent commission. And yet, they have to preside over functions that are very specific, that are actually the source of our development, our integrity, our progress, our wealth, everything. Education is so critical.
I will interject at that point.
NSSF, we have a very good whistleblower at Wally. Why hasn't he blown this?
Let's hope that by tomorrow, when we're getting the State of the Nation address, somehow it will be addressed. Mheshimiwa, we are moving on and looking at what the State of the Nation is provided for by law. And other than giving a progress report yearly, it is also supposed to capture a legislative agenda that the president has in mind for the next 1 year. What legislative agenda can shape this country forward in the next 1 year? What should we anticipate in as far as that is concerned?
I would wish,
Senator.
first of all, the president now looks critically. I can see we've dwelt so much on economic agendas of projects that are huge. Their impact comes in also with long term. That Kenyans now cannot understand these big projects, what is the impact in their life. So it will take a while for them to come and realize it was because of this project that now life has transformed. For me, if they can deal with electricity, and then not just electricity, but now you come back to the people, to those who have industries, those who are doing production. How do we reduce now the cost of your production, and therefore you are able to also reduce the cost of Mwananchi in buying the product? That now touches now directly to the lives of people. I would wish now he looks at all these funds he has introduced, very good funds. There are multi of them, and we need to ask ourselves, how are they transforming lives? Are they really impacting the lives as we thought? Or he has a good idea, but the implementers are not following exactly, because many people are complaining, for example, the fund for the elderly, is it really going to that elderly, that poor elderly person? I would want, even in that legislative agenda, to change a bit the CDF agenda in the country, that let us now focus more on education. And even this thing of teachers and what, CDF can now come in. We have the PTA teachers, assist to employ some of the PTA teachers and see how we can improve education as we move in to evaluate and see what is the best new system. So for me, the legislative should be now tangible to Mwananchi. Let them feel now all what we've been doing is for their benefit. They are coming in. When you look at Mwananchi wants to see a human, economic, social balance where more it talks of the basic needs. How do we help them to get that? So for me, if the president can touch on that, I think it will now bring that balance where the middle, the lower, will feel we are still operating in one country. For me, whether he doesn't, I would wish to see him now touch on the county governments, because they've also let us down. And we've focused, I thought when we were bringing in the new dispensation, we were going to change our mindsets in thinking that now we have a more narrowed, more localized governing way and a way of doing things within that local government to ensure lives can transform. But now lives have become even worse than what we had before.
Yeah.
So now that is why the cry is back to the national government, because people are wondering, yes, there are these things called counties, and the elite, we have taken systematic benefit in the whole process. That's why when anything wants to be touched, we come out shouting and saying, no,
Devolution.
no, because it is us who are benefiting. But we need to refocus back and ask ourselves, was devolution to transform the lives of Kenyans? Was devolution there to change Kakamega to be a better Kakamega, with all the local revenues that we left them with, and now the 8 to 9 billion coming to the counties? So far for 3 years, we have received 25 billion from the national government. Nobody has ever told us how much did we collect for local.
Yeah.
And where now is that development? Or is it just salaries? I can see even MCAs are able now to have some very big flats and bars and everything. And you are like, wow, our money is doing some fantastic job for very few people, while the majority who are paying that revenue, the borders, you look at them and you feel. So it is not just the national government. I think in this state of nation, he needs to allude at the county level. So far, how much he has given, but so far, the challenges he's also facing in terms of balancing, because they sit in the summit together. I believe they have recommendations that come in.
Absolutely, and in fact, I was just about to touch on that issue of the summits that they've had, because there's a lot of let's receive from the national government, but we hardly see anything going back, not even in terms of money, but at least empowering the people to feel that there is a national presence in the counties. Over to you, Mheshimiwa Anami. What legislative agenda do you anticipate in this year's State of the Nation address?
First of all, I want to agree with my sister, Elachi, thoroughly on the issue he has raised. And I want just to open a bit into this cash transfers. And she's right. And she confirms a very important aspect of management of poverty. We can show nothing for all the cash transfers that have been made and even passed on through legislation. Let's take, for example, the elderly, the cash transfer to the elderly people. And we said it will be between this age and this age. For me, I can say that's a hoax. It's a hoax, and we have had several motions in Parliament over this matter. It's a hoax because we still have elderly people there, poor and unable to sustain themselves, and yet they are the ones who have built this nation. They are the ones who have provided the services that we are enjoying, the infrastructure we are enjoying. The government, the Jubilee government, needs to come out very clear on a systematic approach to cash transfer to elderly people, because that is the best way we can give back to elderly people. People, when we talk about people above 65, it should be everyone above 65. There should be no discrimination. Our legislation is based on the Constitution, which is the mother law, and the Constitution is very clear on the issue of discrimination. When a discrimination is initiated from the top, then it becomes the trend down to the grassroots. And I'll cite a few cases where we have discrimination. Let's look at the appointment of CS, PS, appointment of people in important institutions that are supposed to deliver to the people. It's only coming from 2 regions. The appointments are, and it's now become like a tradition. When you hear of presidential appointments, then it will be names from only 2 regions. That is a worrying state of affair, because then what happens is people feel disenchanted about it, people feel discriminated, and indeed they actually get discriminated. When it comes to now accountability for the resources that have been given to the counties, one of the vices that we wanted to deal with when we brought devolution was marginalization. But now, we have more specific marginalization devolved. And there's a lot of marginalization happening at the county level.
Case in point?
Well, we have communities. If I give you the case of Shinyalu, right, Kakamega County, just what reason would the county government have for not doing the road between Kayeka and Shinyalu and Chipsunoi? And yet there is a budget for it, specific budget and figures given for that particular job. And it was advertised. The tenders have been awarded. Just what reason would the county government be having not to do that road if it's not just politics and discrimination? Let me go on with something else. We have this crisis of collapsed institutions, like Webuye Pan Paper. Why would the government take so long to even just come up with a study that tells us the impact of this on the socio-economic development of a people? Because it is adverse and it will keep taking us backwards. Let's go to the sugar industry. We have had debates in Parliament and recommendations have come up. What is the problem with the implementation? With
implementation, I'll just stop you right there and just take a quick... I did tell you to participate in this discussion and air your views. Please do continue doing the same. I'll take this opportunity and sample one from Kisabuli Caleb on Twitter. You say, at Sami1 Njoroge at KBC Channel 1, corruption can stop if the president wants it to stop. It is us taxpayers who suffer. I hate corruption. Hashtag GMK. Keep them coming in. Those are your views. At Sami1 Njoroge on Twitter, Samuel Njoroge on Facebook. 20511 is my SMS line. Begin with the initials GMK. I'll move to you, Senator.
No, there's something else.
Before you finish, let me bring in Senator Elachi on gauging the mood of the people as it is right now. I'm very sure there are those issues we should not, at least we should expect to hear from the President's State of the Nation address tomorrow. Which ones would this be, in your opinion?
For me, I know Kenyans would wish to hear more on how they can survive within the economy. I know Kenyans would want to hear what the president is going to still do on corruption. And I know Kenyans will also need to hear so far in the security sector, as much as we have improved, yes, but I know we still need to ask ourselves, how do we continue protecting and improving what we are seeing? And how do we ensure we also work within the borders to appreciate each other? For me, I want to bring a different perspective in terms of how Kenyans, we've also just finished our own country. Yes, we have all these challenges, but also as a people, I think in terms of our values and character, we have really gone down, because that is why Uganda will fear us. That is why Tanzanians will always fear us. They will look at us and wonder, what are Kenyans planning? Because first of all, we have no respect to even our own, ourselves. We are here, we abuse Uganda. Today we wake up, but we forget they are our biggest traders. Even if it is God who wants to come to power, when you come into power tomorrow and Uganda is gone, you will suffer economically very hard, because 78% of their goods to 38% comes from Kenya going to Uganda. So it is a block that you must always learn how to trade in, as much as you have your own challenges. We must stop this Twitter abusement that we do. That is why Trump will abuse you and return all your Kenyans back here, courtesy of Kenyans who are comfortable in their home, forgetting you have your brothers who have lived in the US, who are suffering. They are bringing money for you to have education and all that, and yet every day you are there abusing, and they wonder, what type of a country is this that just kills itself? So for me, Kenyans, even if we deal with all the institutions, if we don't change our character and how we see things, then we are doomed to fail still, until we change that, until we respect, whether you like Uhuru because he's Kikuyu or you dislike him then you just need to respect, because there is an institution of presidents. Just the way if my brother Wetangula tomorrow or whoever becomes a president, we will need to respect the institution. Even if we dislike him. And not everyone dislikes him. That's what we forget. We have to be honest in some of the things that we are doing. That's where I have a very big problem with how code relates everything onto a political paper. When Mheshimiwa says everyone who was appointed was from two communities.
Tribes.
I saw Sundwa, I don't know and who. Then I wonder, I ask, who are they? The only problem we have created, the elite from the regions where we hate the president, is we always say when one has been appointed, he's a mole. But in the evening, this mole is supposed to be visited by everyone who wants something from this government. So you even wonder, when you bring your own contractor on the ground, if he's not from that region, he will be chased away. We want our own. Then we are wrong. So then we are in a very wrong direction if we are trying to pray day and night that one of our brothers, God should bless to become the president of this country. If we cannot appreciate the others, yet the Constitution says you have to win 24 counties. So are we going to get 24 counties in our regions? No, we can't. We need to come to this other side to embrace. In politics, I always say you don't like people, but you look at the interests that can benefit your people.
Sure.
Yeah.
I believe the issue, and I'll take time to just echo those two. There's the issue of Kenya to Kenya relation. You know, the way Kenyans relate, Kenyan to Kenyan relation. That has, in fact, there's a hashtag that's trending now for more than a day, profiling a certain tribe in this country, and that should not happen. It has been going on for more than a day, and even yesterday we had a discussion about this very same thing. We be very careful about what we say and what we tweet and how we tweet it and to what end, because then again, this country, we don't have a spare. But the issue of moles, I heard Honorable Mutambu the other day, and he was very I think, is this the current situation in the House?
What?
You know, people, he said that there are people, he has no problem being called a mole.
A mole.
Because there are people who are claiming allegiance to certain parties, but in the evening they are dining with the other party,
in fact,
asking
they are doing
favors.
Business. Big business.
This is the trend.
Same abusers in that when you see them on the floor of the House, very angry abusing, just know it is a way of opening the door so that this other one will say, now tomorrow don't go and abuse me, just take.
So
I've realized it's a language of business. How we abuse each other as politicians.
As politicians.
Yes.
I need to inject in now. That is not business. That is corruption. That is deceit. That is bad manners.
Good. I love that.
You see, we should not pretend.
Yes.
When I raised the issue of two communities, I'm very serious, and you know what I'm talking about.
No, I didn't see that.
I'm happy that Senator is alluding to the same, but I'd like to go a little deeper. I have come from a background, and I've served in this government. I know that the most important asset that we have is our diversity. If you gave our diversity, our wide range and very harmonious communities with their cultures, if you gave it to some of the countries I see, they will do a lot with it. We have refused to do a lot with the diversity that we have. We have all the time used it for negative things.
Yes. We
need to bring on board all the players. That's what I'm saying. And that is the spirit of our constitution. And I'm saying tomorrow the president should come clear and say how he is playing in this balance.
No. Before we confuse Kenyans,
yes,
where is this balance? Where is this asset? Where are we? How are we utilizing this asset called diversity?
Well, Yes, Senator.
These talents of athletes from one region, this talent of footballers from another region, this talent of singers from another region, this talent of medicine men from another region, this talent of golden artists from another region. Why don't we bring this together and make it the subject of tourism and our unity? Why?
Nice point raised there.
I agree with you 100%, but yes, we went for a new constitution. We call it a presidential system. Does America embrace Republicans when you are a Democrat? No. So you guys decided you want a presidential system. You have to work with it until you come and change this constitution and bring it back to a parliamentary system where any political party that is in power should embrace the whole country.
So we need to
be very honest.
We need to Okoa Kenya.
Yeah, well, with their signatures of cows and everything, that cannot Okoa Kenya. It was flattering Kenya at the same time.
Let's look at one issue very fast.
You cannot have it right and wrong at the same time. You cannot have it wrong and right at the same time.
We need to take
the issue here. We are still Kenya.
You messed us.
We are still.
They were joking with us politically, and they knew they can't make it.
And we are still the diversity we are. We need to embrace that diversity.
But I think the president has done his best, and he has done that.
We need to actually take one at a time.
Yes.
Yes,
the president
Senator
has embraced diversity. And I want to tell Mheshimiwa, with all due respect, if the former Prime Minister was the President of Kenya today, this language he's speaking here would not have been there. And they don't blink and they don't mince their words. Even as Luyas are suffering within that thing called ODM, it has nothing. It has brought us. Every position goes to a Luo. How come they don't talk about it? How come? No, let's be honest.
I want to save myself from that director. I want to save myself.
Save yourself. Tell us
very briefly.
How come all positions?
Secondly,
yes.
And I will name it here.
Senator, a minute.
One by one.
Yes.
Secondly, ODM is not the ruling party.
But it's still a political party.
In our region, it is our ruling party.
We cannot be here discussing my sister's fears.
No.
Senator,
in my region, it is the ruling party.
Senator Beatrice.
It has a governor that is in their ruling party.
Senator Beatrice Elachi, Honorable Anami Silvers, Lisamula, Member of Parliament from Shinyalu constituency, thank you so much for coming to the show. It has been a pleasure hosting the two of you, but let us not all lose focus that this is the state of the nation. So let us look at the issues that are affecting our nation as the president gives a progress report. We do also expect that a highlight will be given to the issues affecting this nation and a legislative agenda that can steer this country forward and indeed make Kenya the country that is supposed to be, a great country. Thank you so much for watching the show. Senator Beatrice Elachi, thank you for coming. Honorable Silvers Anami, thank you so much for coming. Thank you for watching the show this morning. Until we do this again tomorrow, same place, same time. Enjoy your Wednesday. God bless you all. I'm Samuel Njoroge. Thank you very much.
But he has done